Okay, welcome everybody to the part two of how to make a GUI using Tkinter in Python. The last time we spoke about how to create various widgets in using Tkinter, and it was just an easy way to create widgets. So today we are going to look into um, how to actually make those widgets do something. So that would be what this video is for. So moving on, we would have to create something that makes sense. So now when, for example, we want every button to do something, let's start with this button over here. Let's ignore every other button because we are focusing on the function, what we want the function to do. And as you can see, not every tutorial is going to give you this format using classes. I personally like using classes, and that's why I teach people how to use classes because they are a very good way for you to begin organizing your code in Python. In fact, I think every project that I do, I like using classes because they organize everything and I think of everything as objects, which is essentially what uh, Python was made for. It is an object-oriented programming language, or better still, it supports object-oriented programming as well as sequential programming. Anyway, we're not getting into that. We are just going to use this to create our GUI. So today we're going to see how can we make this button do something. How can we make this button do something? Now let's even run it to test whether it's working. Yes, it's still working. And when we click it, it doesn't do anything. Now we actually need to have it do something. So uh, this button should say, for example, we want to make an application that prints something to the console, and I'm assuming everybody already knows what printing is. In fact, if you don't know it, then this video is not for you. So you print something to the console when the button is clicked, which is something that is very easy to do. So we just come here and create a new method. This is a function in a class context, so it's called a method when it's in relation to a class. So we create this new method, which is the command that we're going to use for the button. Let's go on. So we say def print print something. When we go print something, we define what we want, what we mean by print something. We say print uh, well, anything. We print something. I'm just trying to show you that this will be run whenever the button is run. But before that, let us try running it in the script. Let's say p is equal to app, or we say app is equal to app, then app dot. We are accessing the method now. So we search for the method, which is print something. This is it here. So we say print something, app dot print something. We call this method and we run it just to test ourselves. When we remove this, we're going to see something. Now this is just as a test. This is not what we are treating, we are going to then use this here. Let's say that this is print something, right? And here we're then going to say command. Now this is the most important part. Command should be this function, this method over here. We're not going to talk about self. Just put self because that is how you access something, some method that is inside the same class as your button. So you say self dot print something. Now it's important that you don't put these brackets, you don't call them here. That is because when you do, it is automatically going to run and it is going to print that something. But we don't want that. We want it to be that when the button is clicked, then we print something. So we don't call it here, we allow the button to do it when we click it. It's very important that you don't put these brackets here, which signifies calling. So we don't call it. So let's run our application and we see that when we print something, it prints exactly that something, which is a very easy way to look at it. Now there is another way to print something. There's another way to use a button to do something other than print something to the console, which is typical. You would want to print something to the console, but what about inside the app? What if you want to like change the color of something? What if you want to change the color of the button when you click it? So let's try that. Let's define a new method and say change color. And we have to put this self. It's important. That is in the topic of classes. We will discuss that in classes. There's a separate video for that in the topic of classes. So change color. Now when we want to change the color, we want to change the color of the button. And we already have the button defined. So we can access this button by just saying self dot, as we can see here, BT, which is that button. So we select that button which was defined here. And we say self.bt. Then we have square brackets like this, inside of which we access the color, the background color, which is in short we say back, which is, we can say BG, we can also say background, whichever one is easy for you. But let's say BG, which means background, equal to whichever color you want. So red, it has to be valid actually. You can't say light red. It's not supported by Tkinter unless you want to do your hash hex representation of it. Then you can be free to do whatever you want. So now, just as before, this one line of code is very simple. We just put it here to be, the command should be change color. So now we run our app, and now when we click the button, it actually doesn't print something. We should have changed the name, so it changes the color every single time that we click it. It's already that color. So you can be creative with this and say, if the color is this, then change the color back to that. Either way, it is when the button is clicked that the color also changes. I think you understand. So that is what we are going to do today, which is to access, which is to explore the functionalities of Tkinter, which means that you can actually create your own GUIs that are fully functional. But why would anybody want to use Tkinter in the first place? It is because you would want to show a demonstration of what you are going to do For example, you want to create a website, a fully functional website, but you don't know how to do it with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, but you know Python. So you must demonstrate it with Python using the GUI. So it's like a trade-off where you have functionality going high and and your GUI, the appearance looks vintage. It looks, well, it looks old school. So well, that is it for this tutorial. In the next video, we're going to look at uh, other things about Tkinter. So until next time, keep on practicing one step at a time.